Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. We are live tonight with our regular monthly wild bird update, October of 2024. And welcome everybody in. I hope everybody is safe. I know we've had quite the wild month this past month with the weather. A friend of ours lives in Tampa, and she is safe and without the real significant damage. And she told us that this was her 32nd hurricane that she has been through since she moved to Florida. She didn't grow up there, so she did. So it's been quite a season for sure. And we are thoughts and prayers with everyone and their families that in those areas. Of course, we being from North Carolina, we're from Eastern North Carolina originally, but have spent time up in the mountains and to know those areas. I know exactly where have stood where some of those places don't exist anymore. And it was a very, very incredible storm. And like I said, it's hard to comprehend that level of damage, especially, like my friend Mary said, this day and age, you can't imagine that many people dying from storms and this, but gosh, they predict and they have these models and they tell you that it's going to, but people, don't realize what that looks like in certain areas that aren't used to having storms. And it was very tragic, and hopefully everybody is safe and your family loved ones are safe. And I see people well-wishing on there jumping in right away. You know how we are here. At the very first, we let people join in and give them a little bit of time. Introduce myself. My name is Mark Michele. I am a wildlife biologist who owns the Backyard Bird Center in Kansas City, Missouri. And there's Instagram over there. Hi, people on Instagram, and Facebook and YouTube. And I think we may even be on TikTok tonight. Excellent. So welcome in, everybody.
And Kimberly from Pennsylvania just said hello on TikTok.
Friend from Pennsylvania on TikTok jumped in. So we're obviously Melanie's here tonight.
Hey, everybody.
There she is. Because all that technology stuff wouldn't be happening without her because she's here. Sophie is not in the room tonight. Sophie is actually upstairs with our son who came over a little while ago, and he's going to be out there watching the Royals go Boys in Blue tonight. And he's going to be up there. So Sophie's taking the night off from her producer duties. So, but I'll tell her everybody said hi. So let's see. Let's get everybody welcomed in here. Let's see. You going to handle clicking tonight, Miss Melanie?
Can.
Or you want me to see?
You get started.
I'll get started. Kathy Sparks, one of our very regulars. Thank you so much. From Greenwood, Indiana. Hi, Carol. Missed you today on the hike. I know you and Jay were probably in better birding than we were. We had our Thursday morning bird hike, which we do this time of year, and we had a decent hike. I think I had 26 species, but nothing really out of the ordinary. Had a handful of juncos and several yellow-rump warblers that are coming in. But probably the bird of the day for us was, I bet we had 30 eastern bluebirds. We had like 4 different flocks of eastern bluebirds that we ran into a couple of different locations, and the bluebirds were singing. They were everywhere. It's quite a beautiful sight. But we were visiting what's a new wetland area that's been constructed, and thought maybe we'd have some ducks in, but not yet. So it wasn't a super day. Hello, Sandy from Kankakee, Illinois. Andrew, welcome in from Cincinnati. Or as a good friend of mine says, Cincinnati. Key from Houston. Yes, you're very welcome. I'm glad you sent that picture in of that Oriole. I'm telling you the difference between a young Oriole and a female Oriole can be very, very tricky anyways. But definitely a Baltimore that you had there on your feeders down there in Houston, Texas. So I see. Glad and great you have finally gotten one. It says you're your first one seeing. All right. Hi, Shirley from San Antonio. Welcome in. You guys. John from Ocala, Florida, another one of our real regulars. Hello, BB Ruby T. We were talking back and forth this week a little bit. From Utah. Jennifer Warren from Corbin, Kentucky. Welcome in. Denise, welcome in from our Pacific Northwest person, Washington State. Hello, Brian from Leavenworth. He was on the hike today. Richard from Nanuet, New York. Welcome in. D. Morgan from Georgia. Excellent. Welcome in. Boston guy. I don't know where you're from. Ha ha ha. That's very funny. Right. And somebody said, what was it? Forrest Gump said that one of his guys in his unit was named Tex, but he couldn't remember where he was from. So, yeah. My 8-year-old, and I love to learn from you. Well, thank you so much. Education is my goal in life, and I love it. Yes, Ellie, go Royals. Yep, she's a local. Hi, Jan's Art from Belton, Missouri, just south of the city here. Yes, I'll pass your well wishes on to Sophie tonight. Hi, Raj. He's a Kansas City guy. Hi, Lisa. Thank you. Yeah, I'll call you Working Bulldog if you don't remind me of your name. From Ontario. And Ruth, I don't know if Ruth's on or not, but she's a bulldog person, so she will too. Hello from New Jersey, Mary Lou. Welcome in. First dark-eyed junco last night. We had 3 or 4 today in the path that we were walking on and flew up into the bushes. And yeah, I think last Thursday we were at our buyer show. Maybe it was on Wednesday. Carrie and Kurt had one in their yard that day, and that same day Ruth had a white-throated sparrow. So they're happening. I mean, things are coming in. We've had lots of reports of some of these migrants now. You're very welcome. All right, from Chicago, Jay Kinsler, welcome in. Let's see. Thank you. And that's put that again. We'll do some more before we move on to the topics. But yes, a couple things we wanted to point out and make sure. And Sandy, thank you for reminding people when you're watching these videos, if you would please give them a like. And of course, if you share these, it's even more helpful. But your comments, you're checking in and liking the videos. If you're on YouTube, you get the thumbs up, or on the other platforms, maybe it's a heart or whatever. That really helps me and gets our placement and helps us on YouTube and generates viewership. And we really, really appreciate that. The other thing I think sometimes people forget, I always forget to remind people of this, is that below the video, below all the video, there's a description, and it's very short at first, but you hit click more, and that gives you the bio and the store and links to the photo credits are listed down there, and it links to topics on there, and you can find a lot more information in that if you just click on that, read more on that, and check that out. So, and everything might not be in there tonight, but I should have everything in there by tomorrow when it comes to the photo credits and things. So, but I am Mark McKellar, and Melanie and I live here in the heart of the country, Kansas City, Missouri. And when we're talking about birds and migration and topics like that, it really helps us to know where you're from. So, and when answering questions as to what part of the country, when we're addressing a particular topic, so that's why we love you checking in like you do over there. And when you ask a question, you may remind me in the question, Utah or Texas or wherever, so that I can answer that properly. So I do love answering your questions. It is what I strive to do, and I'm so lucky you guys are supportive of us and keep us going. And we thank you so much. A black-throated blue warbler, wonderful. Oh, yeah. They are migrating. They actually spend the winter in the tropic, in the Caribbean islands, mostly, Boston guy, because the black-throated blue warblers are very uncommon out here in Kansas City. Now, a little bit more in St. Louis, but to the east is where they're more common, where they migrate through. And yes, they winter in Jamaica and the Caribbean islands. Beautiful birds. You're right. I just love black-throated blue warblers. And I promised I'm going to do a species profile on those. I just figure we'll do it, whenever it gets to be more springish. Heard the first song, White-throated Sparrow this morning. Yep. Yeah. And that old Sam Peabody. It's a wonderful song. I look forward to hearing that. I haven't seen one yet. I think Merlin, somebody in the group had Merlin going, and they picked up one today, but none of us heard it. None of us saw it. So we don't count that until we make eye contact with it. So I know they're coming in. They're filtering in. I tell you what, we had a lot of reports of last week. We had a couple people talk about the influx of ruby crown kinglets. and actually golden crown kinglets in with us. So birds are coming in, and they should be. But I tell you what, that's going to lead me to my very first topic tonight. And I know you're going to be shocked that I'm going to talk about water. It's if because I never talk about that. Yeah. Water is a big thing for me, and I try to promote it as much as I can. I'm really concerned about migration this year and birds that typically settle in here for the winter this year. As dry as it is, and it is very, very dry right now in our area, and I know a lot of the country is actually withstanding the storm areas, but a lot of the U.S. up in this area are really dry. And so when these birds migrate in and they get to an area that they normally will settle in, if there's very limited water resources, I'm afraid they're going to keep moving. They're not good. They're not going to settle in like they normally would, and that could be white-throated sparrows. That could even be juncos. That could be yellow rump warblers. A lot of these birds, the kinglets and all, if they're having a hard time finding water and finding the fruit, which are dependent, of course, on the water and things like that, then I'm afraid that's why I encourage everybody, of course, to have a clean source of water out there for birds, and it makes a huge difference if it's moving and splashing. By the way, this picture is of a tufted titmouse bathing in a great capture still frame with he's fluttering and shooting water up everywhere there. But because my first topic I want to talk about tonight was migration, but the the water really hit me here this past week, as dry as it is, and keep refilling the bird baths. And I know people that have water features like Roost water feature and Kurt's water feature, where you got a lot of bubbling running water. These birds are finding it; they have to have it, and that's why we always encourage. I had another a person over in Kansas was posting some wonderful pictures from her with her sprinklers going and sprinkling, and like I said, hitting bushes, so the water's dripping off the leaves and the bushes, and a lot of these warblers and migrating birds are in the bushes, and they're just letting the water run on them because water is really, really tough to find in a lot of the region. And of course, migrating birds don't know where any water sources are anyways. They just land and they got to find it. So that's why I wanted to stick that out. But other migrating birds are starting to come in, and birds like, boy, that's internet slow. There it is, Yellow-bellied sapsucker here. Carrie's feeder a couple winters ago. They're just now starting to show up. We've had brown creeper show up. There's a couple of rare birds around. There's a green-tailed towhee over in St. Louis, which is a mountain bird that moves down to the plains and into the spring, and into the wet fall. And boy, for one to be in Missouri, there's not many state records for it and that kind of thing. So a lot of these birds are getting moved around by conditions, I know, and they show up in the oddest places. So this time of year is when you really, really should be looking for unusual birds at your feeder. So things are happening. But, last month I always talk about the September slowdown. Boy, the September slowdown has hit us really, really hard. This is probably the worst we've seen it in, like we think, with pre-COVID probably. The store is just absolutely still. The YouTube channel has slowed down to a crawl as far as views go. People are still subscribing and joining, but the views are really way down. And I think it just coincides with the time of year at your bird feeders. And for most of the region, you just don't. The birds are not coming, so people tend not to pay as much attention, and we're waiting for that cold weather to come in, because that's when the birds really start getting pushed into your feeders. That's when bird feeding really picks up. We've always called kind of the official bird feeding season for our area mid-November through July. Some years it's as late as the first week of December. Some years as early as mid-October. If we were to get a really great cold snap here in our area right now, the birds would get pushed in, and boy, the bird seed would kick in right now. But right now we're having to tighten up the purse a little bit here because it is really, really slow. I don't know. I'm really interested to see how it is in your area. If your feeders are still creeping slow, or if they've picked up any, and my guess it should move from north to south. You guys up north should get the birds in first before us. So, all right, let's check in here and get caught up. A pair of ruby crown kinglets hanging around my yard the past few days. Yep, I'll post pics. Please do. Yeah, those. I love ruby crown kinglets. We call them pinball machines. Little pinball. They just bounce around. It's hard to keep them in, but they are so tiny. I mean, outside of, they're one of the smallest birds next to hummingbirds that we see. So yeah, the ruby crown kinglets are little Energizer bunnies or little pinballs. Where are you? Georgia. Okay, orchard oriole. Boy, this is getting late for orchard orioles. They don't spend a lot of time after nesting season. But they just gradually work their way south. So maybe this is a bird that maybe is still, and anymore, there are more orioles that are wintering in North America, in Florida and Georgia and places like that. So that bird may actually stick around for you for a while. That's a good sight. Derek from Illinois. I've heard Forest Preserve, love their song. Yep, you're hearing white-throated too. So they're on the move. I hope they settle in this year. And the native sparrows, the last few winters have been really regular, and that's what we're gonna segue into my next topic here, and that's going to lead into it. Believe me, working through a bit of a drought in my area. Okay, and the bird bath has been like Grand Central Station, perfect place for a blink camera. That's where I'm going to set one of mine on. I've had the feeder cameras going all summer, but I'm getting ready to set up a blink on my bird bath. I've had several northern flickers. It's been fun. Love hearing them, seeing them. The trees is awesome. Saw a great crested flycatcher briefly there on my patio. That's great. That's a late bird. The great crested are moving through. And flickers are just so nomadic. They move around. They're hard to predict where they're going to show up. But yeah, when you got them, you got them. We had a couple today on the hike down at the right on the Missouri River is where our hike was today at a park down there. All right, let's see. On Saturday, you had a yellow-bellied. Yep, and that's good. Yep, right on time. They're showing up, waiting for the juncos. We've had a few, just like I said, not a bunch yet, but still they're coming in. Feeders are slowly increasing. Okay, yeah, I think that's the story for much of us. I'm getting lots of white crown sparrows at my feeder. Now you're up north, right? Didn't you post about a white crown recently? We get white crowns and Harris's a little later than we do white throats here. It tends to be a little bit later on. So I love white crowns. One of my favorite sparrows. They are so big and beautiful. Peter Matthews is busy with lots of regulars, especially chickadees this season. Well, that's good. I mean, for this time of year, our chickadees come in very sparingly. Almost all the songbirds come in sparingly right now, except for the house finches. They come all the time. But yeah, it's good you got them coming. Yep, we're in Illinois. Sandy's asking you. Hi, Ruth Law Simmons. She just left the store. She closed the store tonight, and she's just getting in the door in Lee Summit and joining in. Welcome in. Baked and salty. I usually have a couple of weeks between the hummingbirds leaving and the juncos showing up in Maryland. Yep, this is that. Especially a couple of weeks ago, a week or two. This is that. There's two times. Once in the spring and once in the fall where you can get that overlap, where you can actually have a junco in your yard and a hummingbird in your yard the same day. And we're just getting kind of past that now here. So yeah. Quantico, Virginia. Our yard is busy. Huge flocks of red-winged blackbirds and starlings. With that song, white-throated locked it. They arrived very loud, happy chaos. There you go. Absolutely. Thank God. So things are coming in for you. What you'd ask is, do crows show up at feeders? Well, it depends. Usually crows only tend to show up at feeders when the weather's really harsh. Now, they can show up anytime. They're very opportunistic feeders, but they're not a typical feeder bird. People quite often ask me how to attract them. I say, well, turn your trash can over. They're very opportunistic that way. But this is they're not regular feeder birds. If they're there, they're usually poking around underneath looking for grubs and maybe pick up corn or something like that. But they're not real regulars. Oh, how often? That's a good question. Down in your part of the world, it gets really hot. In theory, it should be fine. But, my rule of thumb with bird seed is you never leave bird seed out longer than a month without dumping it, replacing it. And that's probably a pretty good rule for that no-melt suet as well. If it's not been eaten by then, it's probably better just to switch it out, especially in those temperatures you get down there and the humidity. Southern Ontario, southeast of Detroit. Yep. That's right. Yeah, we're actually south of Detroit.
Yeah, no, and I knew there was something weird about that.
That is
location. Great. Yeah. Canada, but
First yellow rump in New York this week. Yep, they're amazing. Those little yellow rump warblers, they move in and they move through. They're our latest warbler. They'll stay sometimes in Kansas City into December. Sometimes we have them Christmas bird counts. That they push them. They don't go as far south as most warblers do. They're amazing little birds. Family of crows come to my feeders, mostly liked the bird bath. Right? Yeah, that's very true. They're so smart, and they move around and they find food. Hi, John. Welcome in. You're very welcome. One of our longtime customers at the store. Yeah. All right. So mine are pretty busy. Lots of wrens along with the regulars. Love seeing lots of wrens. They like the peanuts, like the jay. Yes, they do. They peck at those. And I tell you what another thing wrens like. They like those seed cylinders, the Mr. Bird seed cylinders. They love pecking on those. Of course, there's lots of peanuts in those too, but whole of sunflower. But the reason I said we had a segue here, because I wanted to talk about a couple of things. If you're a real regular watching me, and I talk about citizen science, and that is the opportunity for us as bird watchers and bird feeder people to help with conservation of birds, and that is submitting data via these different count methods that are out there for us. And this weekend, especially Saturday, October, it's the October Big Day. And, they have a big day in the spring and a big day in the fall. And what this does, if you go out bird watching, it doesn't matter how long you can bird watch. If you use eBird, and that is really important. If you don't use that, that's really an app you should learn how to use. But all you do is you use it to enter, where you're bird watching, how long you're doing, how many miles you walked, or did you sit in the one place or whatever. But you enter every bird that you see. We do that on every one of our Thursday hikes, and all our hikes. Someone keeps up with it, and we submit that data. Well, they're trying to get as many people as they can to submit data on October 12th. And what that helps with, that if all over the planet we get the snapshot of where all birds are on that day, it really helps us, the biologists, to monitor movement. And of course, they can tie it into weather conditions and droughts and things like that. But that information, there's so many more of us than there are those guys in the field that are doing this for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and places like that. It really helps. And you are adding to it. And most people go, I just don't know enough about birds. Yes, you do. If you know the cardinals and the chickadees and the goldfinches and those birds, you're counting them. If there's a bird you don't know, you can put unidentified small bird or whatever. But all that information really, really helps the biologists out there to make management practices adjustments and estimate bird populations, things like that. So if you're out this weekend, you've got eBird on the eBird app on your phone, please try to submit some data and send that in so you can help out and be part of that larger. And I wrote down some statistics. Last year on the big day, October Big Day, 36,000 people submitted checklist in 191 different countries. That shows you, the coverage of the planet, and it helps us. This bird normally, the juncos, it tells them if the juncos are later coming down this year, or they're earlier than normal, they're further south than they usually are. It really, really helps. So if you can do that, it's a really wonderful program to get involved with. And then, of course, most people are familiar with Project Feeder Watch, and Project Feeder Watch is just getting started as well. And Millie's going to put up the link for that, feederwatch.org, I think it is. And that program is wonderful because you're tracking birds at your feeder stations all during count periods all through fall and winter. And that really, again, that's just more information, and it helps us to formulate, patterns in birds. Okay. Remember, I've always told you, there's nobody going to tell you there's 1,400,221 chickadees, but they're going to, by submitting data, it helps us to kind of estimate the population and the trends moving up and down. If you have a downward trend, then hopefully we can make some changes to help save them. So Project Feeder Watch if you've never done it before, it really is rewarding. It's a great family activity. You do have to pay a small fee, but they send you packets of information, and they got identification fold out posters for you to help you identify birds, or depending upon what part of the country you're in. But it helps to keep that going, and you submit that data. It's easy to do on your computer, or I think they can even do it on your phone now too. And just, if you, like I said, if you only are able to watch 15 minutes in the first count period, it doesn't matter. Send that in. If you can do it an hour the next one, that's great too. But it does help. So the couple of citizen science projects that you can get involved with and really help birds out. So, all right, where are we? Let's see.
Hold on, you're too far down. Go down. There's where I had posted that one.
All right.
Go here.
Okay, hold on. I didn't get these two.
I'm sorry. Okay.
All right, mine are pretty beauties. Okay, you did. Now, it was Brian. Okay, yes, we had 3 bald eagles today on the hike today. Came flying over, all adults down near the river, which is, of course, makes sense. They're some of migrating down from the north already, and maybe local birds have fledged. Hello, Frontier from SoCal. Carrie and Kurt were in SoCal this past weekend. They went to the Packers game against the Rams. They just got back, and I don't know. I haven't seen them all tonight. They may not be back in yet. There's the big day. You mentioned hunting season. Would they hunt dove? Yeah, mourning doves have had a long time been a game bird in this country, and there is a hunting season, and they do. The opening day typically has always been Labor Day weekend. Labor Day Monday is when this typically has started. So, yeah, there is a legal hunting season on mourning doves. Barbara McConkey, I love your program. Thank you, Knoxville, Tennessee. Boy, we usually drive through there on our way home to North Carolina. It looks like we're not going to be taking that route for a while. We have to take the northern route up through West Virginia, but we usually stay in Knoxville a lot on our travels back and forth. Let's see. The program with subject, how do birds find seeds, even buried seed? We could do that. We need to write that down. That's one like I said, I try to keep a list. You guys make suggestions, and we try to we'll make our way through them. Okay, Derek said he's in north central Illinois.
Feeder watch.
Yeah. Participating project. Yeah, good. That's right. It is rewarding for you to be able, and if you do it regularly, then you can look at your notes from years past and watch it, how things have changed, and that's great for you. Well, hi, James Bandis from New Jersey. Welcome in. Oh, that's the next one. Yes, from New Jersey. There you go. Yeah, they move out. The American goldfinches now, they're out in the fields. They are taking advantage of Mother Nature's bounty right now and eating on the wild seeds. And some of them, you may actually lose some in the winter months to move south, and they don't come back until spring.
I don't know. He's fairly new. Now, does he know that when they come back, they're probably going to be their drab?
Yeah, right. And like Melanie's pointing out, whenever they do come back to your feeders here, if you do have them in November, December, January, they're not going to be bright yellow anymore. They're going to be that olive drab color for the winter. And I have a lot of people send me pictures going, what's this bird? And it's actually just a winter plumage goldfinch. You're right. How do people keep mice away from your feeder setup? The only way that I have ever found, that my advice for that is to do your absolute best to keep seed off of the ground and the seed holes raked up on a regular basis. I mean, there's nothing that's 100% going to do that. But if you do keep seed off of the ground, and I know birds toss it out, there's especially jays and mourning doves are really bad for slinging the bird seed out. But yeah, keep, trays, some of the bigger net trays that fit under feeders to keep the seed from getting to the ground. And if your seed holes are gathering up, make sure you rake that up on a regular basis and toss it out. But that is usually what attracts them. Thank you, Tilly. Excellent. Absolutely. Those are two wonderful programs. And having been on that biologist end of it, we really appreciate people's input, because it helps tremendously with numbers. All right. Other migration that's going on right now. One that was disappointed in today on our bird hike. we didn't see any waterfowl. Now, remember, waterfowl migrate now, but if you guys up north aren't having freezing temperatures yet, there's no reason for those ducks to move. So as long as the water is staying open up high up in northern Canada, central Canada, southern Canada, as soon as those water starts to freeze is when waterfowls gets pushed down our way, and we get to see them. We're always looking for them, some of the early birds in now, but that little wetland we went to today, again, is a brand new one, so there's not a lot of vegetation established and things like that. But we were hoping to see some ducks there. But our big duck push is still yet to come. It's going to probably be November, mid-November is when the big part. But we'll always look forward to seeing the waterfowl come in. And that one, I don't think I've ever shown you guys this picture, and I found it today when I was looking at waterfowl. And I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this. This is a bird feeder. Hello. I don't know why that popped up there. This is a bird feeder in New Mexico at the Rio Grande Nature Center in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And those are wood ducks. Those are hen and drake wood ducks up on this big feeder they have at a pond behind the Nature Center. And the wood ducks look like a bunch of cardinals or, sparrows up there on the feeder. And a friend of mine took this picture. You can see what it's called vignetting, that circle. He took that through a spotting scope of these wood ducks up on this bird feeder, which I think I found. I thought you guys would appreciate that. So, all right. You're very welcome. Raj, today I took a picture of olive gray gold gophers. So yes, those are probably juvies right now, especially if they're real olivey colored. The darker, the ones that hatched this year.
Ask him to share those on the group page. Does he post?
Post on the group, the Mark's Backyard Birds group page. People would love to see them. Those juvie goldfinches. Hey, y'all, Trish here from Southern Alabama. Welcome in. Just got home. I'm afraid my hummingbirds are gone now. Yeah. Yep. My hummers are gone. I had one of the hummingbird feeders got taken over by yellow jackets. I pulled it in. I left out my aspect feeder. And finally today I decided to take it down because I got other stuff going on. And so, yeah, I think our hummers there'll be a few still pass through. And I know people will leave theirs up for a good while. That's if they're willing, can maintain it. We're just really busy right now. Sandy found a dead Canada goose. Yeah, whatever else. I'd seen a northern harrier about a half mile away the day before with a harrier hunting. Oh, that would be a tough task for a harrier. I'm not saying that he wouldn't do it, but whenever we talk about waterfowl dying, when we talk, remember even 1% death in and things like Canada geese, where there's so many of them, just huge flocks of them. Birds die of natural causes all the time, and I don't know if but it could have been a predator. Coyotes get them on the shore, and the eagles sometimes take them on, but really they don't put forth the effort. Not a lot of stuff that can kill a healthy adult goose, a Canada goose, because they're a sizable animal. Oh, seed hoops. I only put a link on there for that.
You were talking about that earlier.
Yep. There you go. What on Central and Northeast should be showing up in October and November? You're up there. A lot of what's showing up here, James, to be yellow-bellied sapsuckers on your peanut feeders and your suet logs, juncos and white-throated sparrows, white-crowned sparrows. Maybe not as many white crowns for you, but white-throated sparrows and the juncos should be really starting to show up there. Hopefully red-breasted nuthatches. That's the one we look forward to. And then the finches. Hopefully you'll get some pine siskins this year. I think might be doing pretty well, and be looking for all those winter arrivals.
I just posted an example for him.
Okay,
for Dean Morgan.
Melanie posted a link to the cylinders. I've used different ones over the years. They tend to like the bug and nut.
That's what I put.
Yeah, because they like the mealworms that are in there and the nuts. They really take advantage of that.
I love watching my Carolina wren.
Yes, my wife loves Carolina wrens, and that's why she likes that feeder. All these projects are so important. We also We use haiku box year round. Yeah, I know Brian was talking about what he heard some on his haiku box today. Just remember, you can't. It's not good to use those as 100% reporting data. We always want visual confirmation on. It's one thing for cardinals and chickadees, but if it's something that might be just a little bit uncommon, we want to make sure you get visual confirmation of that for sure. My last hummingbird left 928 in Maryland. Okay. Yep. Yeah. If you're willing to keep it fresh, it's definitely worth leaving it out for a while. Catbirds don't go very far. Last year we had a catbird hung out at Baroque Woods Nature Center here in Kansas City, which was where I used to work years ago. But they things like brown thrashers and catbirds, we're finding more and more of those overwintering this far north, where most of the time they just go to the Gulf Coast states and the southern states, and of course some of them all go down to Mexico, but. We do mainly in the southern states. You can find the catbirds and the thrashers skulking around in the winter. But I'm telling you, more and more they're getting reports in the winters up here. Well, thank you, James. Yeah, James is a very big supporter of our online store. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I live in Indiana right now. Have quite a few fledglings of yellow. Yep, pinches here at the breeders. Yes, and what'll happen, like I said, you're probably going to lose them, and they'll be gone for a good month or so until cold weather sets in. It's not uncommon for that, so don't worry, they'll be back, but that's a regular pattern for them. You guys, you're up there where we have purple finches that nest. I mean, we don't have them here. Pretty much all are here. We're just all house finches, and we look forward to having purple finches settle in here in the winter. And again, I've read that might be we may have a good winter for purple finches in the Kansas City region and this part of the country, which we love to see. Absolutely. And Carolina wrens are one of our favorite. How can you not love that bird? Still up 3 days ago, Sandy. That's good. Yep. There'll be some filter through. There are always late birds. There are always early birds in the spring. There's always late birds in the fall. So a few downy woodpeckers come back to see. Yep. Yeah. They once the stress has right now you're dealing with acorns because a lot of the oak trees are dropping acorns, and that's keeping a lot of the woodpeckers happy right now, and those that store, and of course the squirrels as well. This guy's loving the dropping their acorns, and they're this is the time of year you really don't have to worry about squirrels that much of your feeder. Whenever the acorns are falling, the walnuts are falling, they're very, very busy with that, and they tend to stay away from your feeders for a while, which is great. Yeah. Yes, you got brown thrashers down there in Alabama. You are right. First catbirds I've seen in a while showed up a week ago. You're down in South Florida. That's right. Yep, that's where they're going to settle in. But you'll have them all winter. The pet blue jays hit my peanut ring. Yep, late that summer, the early fall, partaking of the peanuts. The peanuts are good quality, so I can't figure out what's going to happen, John. Again, it's that Mother Nature. You can't outcompete her. Whenever those acorns drop and the nuts fall, they're going to take advantage of that. And they bury a lot of those nuts, so they're out there. They're the Johnny Appleseeds of the oak tree world. They're gathering. They gather an acorn or two. They take it. They bury one in the ground and they eat one. And that's a lot what's going to go on now. And they may not be back at any regularity until we get some really cold temperatures. Oh yeah, pine siskins are a joy. Yeah.
We got a comment here about using the hot sauce to keep the.
It's over here on Instagram. Somebody commenting about they with great success using the hot sauce on the bird seed to keep the squirrels away. And that I'm telling you, we used it in our house because we're only feeding from our deck right now, and boy, that really works on the raccoons and the squirrels. Only seen, it's funny you say that because I've always said it. I always seem like I see the females before I do the males in the purple finch world, and I don't know if that's a really pattern, but it just seems that way. Yes, yeah. I do just the squirrels digging in the flower pots, and they hide things in there. I had the one customer who told me about the the lawn chair when she went to open her lawn chair, one of her lawn chairs one day, and there were 3 green tomatoes stuffed down in the lawn chair with one bite. I'd taken to each one of them by the squirrels. Yeah, they can be quite the nuisance. Great horned owls will eat them to go after them as well. But up in that range, where the spotted owl problems are, the barred owls are new, and they're so much the same niche. That's why there's a lot of competition, and the barred owls are actually mating with some of the spotted owls, and they're actually killing them and eating them for territory up there in that part of the world. There are 3 oak trees, 3 hickory trees close to my feet. I don't know. Did they produce this year? Have you got a lot of acorns? Yeah. Well, you know my. If you listen to me, you know that my saying is the least amount of work for the most amount of gain. They can sit there and stuff full of birdseed and not have to lift a hand to go walk 2 feet to go get another acorn. They're crazy. It is amazing. I wanted to let me bring this guy. I want to show you this real quick while I'm thinking about it. Now I know where to start with James when I get back. This is something that's going on. I got a report recently of this, and this is a very, very common mistake. And I'm going to do I got to redo my program on vultures because of sound quality was so bad. But this time of year, we get people reporting that they have a black vulture like up in our area or up further north. And it's almost certainly not. This is a juvenile turkey vulture on the right and an adult turkey vulture on the left. It's a great picture Mary captured about 2 or 3 weeks ago and sent it to me because people will very easily think that juvenile has got to be a black vulture because it has a black head. Well, young turkey vultures have black heads. Now, there's that little white trim around the skin on the juvenile there. But the thing that separates them out is it's their tail. Black vultures hardly have a tail at all. It's very, very short. And so these guys' tail is as long as their wing projections are at the back, whereas a black vulture's tail is about not even half that long that you see sticking down underneath there. It would be very, very short. And in flight, it's really easy to see the tiny tail. But watch my video coming up on separating vultures. And remember, vultures are not buzzards. That was the title of that video. They are not buzzards. So I thought I would throw that in there because that was a great picture that Mary captured and sent in. And it's a question I get a lot. And if you're still in a lot of where you are, you may be still seeing juvenile turkey vultures. Just know they're not black vultures. My bird monitor picked up 98 sounds from golden crown kinglets. Have not seen any yet. Boy, yeah, that's a lot. They go, and you probably have more up your way than we do. We have ruby crowns are much more common for us than golden crowns, but they're just dynamite little birds, and they are noisy when they're talking. They're talking. Yep, only seed. The hot seed is it. It really works. You're welcome, John, on the P9 info. They do not make hot tree icing at this point. I don't know if you can use some of the flaming squirrel hot sauce that we sell and mix that in with the tree icing. If that would be effective, that probably would. But the manufacturer doesn't make the hot. We have hot suet plugs. We have hot suet cakes, but we don't. As far as that tree icing only comes in the one flavor. There you go. Yeah, I know Ruth does that as well. She mixes the cold hot sauce I was just referring to with water and sprays it on plants to keep the squirrels out. That is an effective method. Door cylinder refills, excellent. Yep, it is a good. We hooked up with that company long ago, Mr. Bird, and those seed cylinders and his feeders, and they do very, very well. Very, very favorable reports. Speaking of acorns, I saw blue jay hide acorns. Yep, you bet. Absolutely. I told the story about one of my longtime friends and a big wildflower garden person in her yard. And she said this plant grew up in her wildflower garden that she did not recognize. And she's really good with plants. And so she decided to let it grow. And she watched it, and she watched it, and it grew and it grew. And it got to finally to a certain size. She realized that it was a peanut for the blue jay or a squirrel had buried in her flower bed, and it actually had germinated, and a peanut plant was growing in her wildflower bed. So yes, they bury a lot, and of course studies show that they only find a fraction of what they bury. That's why it's good for oak trees, so the oak trees can grow, and they're wonderful. We love them. I heard geese fly over this morning. Sedalia, yes, I think we had about 40 today on at the wetland area up on in the grass, grazing there, right there along the Missouri River, and I've seen some flying. So, yeah, they're starting to move. Absolutely. Well, here we also had a sighting today. Yep, that's the one that James got. Yep, I'm gonna land on my fence. He's a dead blue jay in my yard. A face only a mother could love. Absolutely. Yeah, people are always impressed with how big turkey vultures are when they see them up close. Well, a conundrum that we had today, and I really did only get a quick look, but we had an accipiter, and I do believe it was a Cooper's hawk, but I didn't call it. We on our checklist we officially call it a Cooper / Sharp-shinned. It came flying over very quickly, and I only got a real quick look at it. But it made me think tonight that the Sharp-shinds are starting to roll in this far south. They're moving in out of the Great White North, and for the winter season, they settle into areas. And I thought I would do it real quick. And again, one of the people on the hike, they said, I just watched your video on separating Coopers and Sharp-shins. But just a quick reminder, the Cooper's hawk on the left, the Sharp-shin on the right. The two things that we tend to, especially in adult birds like this, to key in on first. One is the head, the other is the tail. The tail tends, in Cooper's hawks, tends to be curved. C for Coopers, turn like this, and then Sharp-shins tend to be straight, squared off. S for Sharp-shin. It's that can be very iffy because of tail wear. The tail feathers get damaged and they can look a little funny. But that is something that has been used for a long, long time. But if it is an adult bird, the best thing I have found is the head. The Sharp-shin, the one on the right, has a helmet over the top. You can see it goes all the way back down to the neck, whereas the Cooper's on the left has a cap, the dark cap look, and the dark doesn't extend all the way down the neck. It just at the very top. So the cap versus the helmet is a great way to separate those two out. Now, you want a lot more information on the separating those out. I'll put a link to the video, and you can watch that. If you haven't watched that video before, I really recommend it because they'll both hunt your bird feeders in the winter. Read an article 40 years ago called "Feeding Birds with Birds," and that is accipiters, predators are going to get their share. They're going to get a bird every once in a while. And yes, we do wish they would only eat house sparrows and starlings, but they've got to eat too. And feeding birds, eating birds, especially mourning doves, are very easy for Cooper's hawks to catch and things like that. Making sure you got cover around your bird feeders to help protect your birds they can escape into. But they're going to get them every once in a while, and they're not bad. They're not bad guys. They are doing what they do to survive, just like those blue jays do to your mean. They're mean to your acorns. I mean, everything that lives depends on something to survive, and and these birds are going to do that, and they help you to figure out which one you got hunting your yard. So that was another one I wanted to throw in there. Where are we now?
Let's see.
Okay. Here, right here.
Yep.
All right. Finally saw 2 American goldfinches on my bird hike. They're so rare. Is that right? You can mainly get lesser goldfinches down there, I guess, frontier down that part of the world. Yeah. And now, do you ever see Lawrence's goldfinches? That would still be a lifer for me. It's a bird that's eluded me every time I've been out west. I had a friend of mine who was in Tucson down there for a meeting, and he was walking around in a park, and he had a flock of those Lawrence's goldfinches, which are quite uncommon. But I was jealous. Someone asked me how to keep the neighbor's cat out of her yard. It is killing her birds and pulling down the feeder. That is a really, really involved conversation. Our rule, the legalities of it. Most communities actually do have leash laws that apply to cats. I know I've had people that have gone to municipalities about it and complained, and they say, well, we can't enforce it. That's not true. They can. I helped a woman in Pittsburgh when I was there with Audubon, and what they ended up doing is they sent the owner of the cat a letter and said, if you get a warning the first time, but if your cat's caught in a neighbor's yard, it's a $50 fine every time we get a report of it, and that certainly solved that problem. So, if you can't keep the cats out, make sure your feeders are further away from ambush cover. We usually recommend feeders being close to cover because it's safer from hawks and things, but cats use that cover to hide in and then pounce on the birds at your bird feeder. So you want your feeders more out in the open if you know you have a cat issue. Oh, Bruce says she mixes the hot sauce with full strength. She doesn't even mix hers with water, and it doesn't kill the plants. That's good to know. 3 peanut plants this year from somebody planting peanut. Not sure if it was Mr. Squirrel or Mr. Blue Jay. It could be either one for sure, Sandy. I've grown to really like our vultures. Yes. Last year I saw a flock of 89 turkey vultures soaring overhead. Counted them with about 10% black mixed in with them. Yes. Yeah. One thing about the black and turkey vultures is blacks don't have that super sense of smell that turkey vultures do. So black vultures tend to follow turkey vultures, and then they're more aggressive and smaller, and they tend to take food, the carcass away from the turkey vultures. So they're a small little aggressive rascals, that's for sure. All right. Spooky. One slide I missed. I don't know how I missed importing it tonight, but I was going to put a reminder in there about the Halloween decorations. Especially don't use the webby spider decoration. Now, you guys know all that, I'm pretty sure, but it's just a reminder. Birds as big as owls get caught in those web strung around and people's bushes to make them look like spider webs. Please don't use those. That's very, very dangerous for wild animals, and all kinds of animals, not just birds. 2 huge bags of peanuts from the store. Yes, put them out today. The Blue Jays missed them, and they went crazy when they pick it up. I do. Yeah, he's right, James. Like they birds know typically when they pick up a shell, be it a safflower seed or a sunflower seed or whatever with a hole, if there's enough in it worth them wasting their time on to open up. So they'll drop a lot of the half-filled shells, things like that. Well, blue jays is funny, watch them shake them and things to make sure there's enough heart in there for them to take time. Yeah, that's right. It's a least amount of work for the most amount of gain. Boston guy, here's the truth. A large female Cooper's hawk, a Cooper's hawk female, is close to the size of a red-tailed hawk. A male sharp-shinned hawk is as small as a blue jay. But where the overlap comes is the male Cooper's hawk and the female sharp-shinned are about the same size. That's when it gets really tricky. Now, if you see the one that's really big, it's probably a female Cooper's. You see one that's really small like a blue jay, it's probably a male Sharpie. But it's that in between that can get you confused. Well, yes, cats. Like I said, when I get people ask me the cat questions when I'm doing a public speaking engagement, I'm not a very popular person because my message is keep your cats indoors. They really can do a lot of damage out there. Yes, absolutely. They do kill birds. And not only, and like I said, they kill insects. They kill lots of them. Bats could, even if they fly close enough. But like I said, they've had documented owls actually caught in these spider webs strung up because people put them all over their trees. And it's just really, really dangerous. Owls are nearsighted. Yes, I guess you could call it that. Their eyes are strong, but their eyes are super acutive. They can see fine detail. And if you hold you watch people work with owls and you see them put their hands up, you see them back their heads up to be able to focus on it. So in a sense, yes, that you can call that nearsighted. You're very welcome. You use the white stuff you're saying not to use might not be birders. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I put that in there, and because I know most of you guys know not to use those spiderweb decorations. But if you can tell a neighbor or a friend and that they're thinking about it and they don't realize it, that's good. They may take it down. Yep. Yes, they are. Turkey vultures are nature's garbage men. They're the cleanup crews. They do the job that nobody wants to. Yeah, they explain so many near the door. Yeah, they don't get offended, right? Yeah, yep, absolutely. Yes, they're all over. And we try to educate people, but if we keep on it, maybe we'll get it done away with. Oh, the barn owl is an amazing bird. Absolutely, I love the barn owl. Super scary. Yeah, but I've got a YouTube program on those too. Yeah, my favorite bird. Excellent, guys. You've been awesome as always, and you're welcome, Denise. Thank you so much for you guys are like I said, so wonderfully supportive, and you guys over there, and all the platforms that have joined in tonight. I really do appreciate it. Hope you learned something. I got some exciting news. If you hung on this long, I went to a buyer show. Carrie and I went to a buyer show. I told you about that. Well, I've hooked up with 2 different authors that want to come on and do a live with me. And one of them is a longtime photographer, great photographer, author of some of our favorite field guides, bird guides. He ran nature centers for years like me. He was a wildlife biologist like me. I'm really looking forward to having him on and let you guys get to know him a bit better and appreciate what he does. And then another longtime friend of mine has written a book about bird houses, and he is going to have him on. So we're going to get these kind of things scheduled. But we were excited that those two they really were enthusiastic about wanting to come on and be part of our lives. So that's coming up. Watch the schedule. Let's see, what's this?
Oh, I was trying to. I got out of Instagram and I got you messed up. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, right.
No, can't hit cancel.
Okay.
Just keep talking to them because I still with Instagram.
Oh, okay. We got stuff popping up on the screen here. You guys, you're awesome. Thank you for all the likes. Yes, I've seen Lawrence's, but they are only more common than some. Yeah, they seem to be really. In some areas and not in others down there. Like I said, never lived out there, so I've never had a chance to really get to know them very well. You're welcome, James. Thanks for tuning in. From Quebec, another. You know what? The Canada, you guys are getting to be strong on here. I love it. That's great. You're very welcome, Miss Ruth. Absolutely. Thank you for your pictures and everything else. And yeah, absolutely, John. There's some people missing tonight. Some of our real regulars are missing that. I don't know if they're watching the baseball or football, or maybe they were out of town. But we've missing Steve and the Rhode Island. The folks. Good. I am glad you learned that from me. I'm like I said, I am fulfilling what I love to do, and glad to know you guys are learning from it. Absolutely. You're welcome, Carol and Jay. You're welcome. Absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. Bless you too. And again, their thoughts and prayers. Everybody, hope everybody's safe. I hope that's it for tornado season. I mean, hurricane season now. My goodness, it's time to be done with that. Absolutely. Guys, have a wonderful evening. Go Royals. I don't know what the score is. But I hope we can take them out tonight and stretch this game out, the series out further. So have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you guys back on in a couple of weeks. Take care.